Hi, YouTubers. Thank you for being loyal subscribers and loyal viewers. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, but I want to let you guys know I'm still around. I suffer from fibromyalgia, and if you're familiar with that, it's a very debilitating disease, and it causes a lot of fatigue. So I haven't really had a whole lot of energy to actually make some videos, but I did take the time to actually create this video, and one that I made in the past. I've edited, and this is the one I'm about to show you now. So I want to thank you all for being patient with me and for being loyal viewers and loyal subscribers. I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you so much for your well wishes. So if you remember the first dress I did, I actually just used the fabric and I just cut out the fabric down the middle, folded it over. Well, because I love that dress so much, then what I did is I decided to take one of those dresses, which I got the fits right here and the center back fit, and then I ended up getting some paper and making a pattern paper, and it's pretty sturdy paper. There's one change that I made on the dresses, because if you notice, the first dress I did, it had a seam down the front as well as the back. Well, I decided to switch the pattern up a little bit, and that's the wonderful thing about having a good pattern. You can make so many styles from it just by making some changes. So on the front, what I did is I did not cut that seam down the front. I ended up placing this on the fold and leaving the fold there. And because I have a very deep arch in the back, so everything always was gappy back there. So in this pattern, I could go ahead and draw out my gap. And as you can see, you got that nice curve just in the middle of the back. Now, another thing I did to this pattern is I also put a mark down here where I would actually have my split. This is the split portion. But I also, what I did is I had this paper, this line. You can actually take it now and I can fold this over right there at that split line. And what that does, it makes the dress shorter. So now you can have a short dress that's in the same style. And this comes down pretty much past the knee, a little past the knee. I went and I made a flounce to go on the bottom of the dress to give it some character and some something, make it interesting on the bottom. I'm going to show you how I'm going to turn this dress into the other style and give me another look. Here's the fabric that I'm going to use for this dress. And it's got a little bit of lycra, so it's got a little bit of stretch and a little bit of give. In order to have the flounce on the bottom of the dress, you're going to actually need to purchase more fabric. So I know in my previous video, I think I said we did 1.5 yards. You might want to add another yard or maybe another 1.5 yards. On my pattern pieces, I went ahead and put a fold line, and that lets me know to place this on the fold. I also put cut 1, because if it's on the fold, you only cut 1. You want to mark the direction, and this is the direction of the print. And because I'm doing a flounce on the end, I'm going to fold this part up because I'm telling myself to cut it right there. And you know I don't like to use pins, so you can use your fabric weights. Depending on your size, you might be able to lay the other side of the dress on the other side because you're cutting it, you're saving some fabric. If I slide it right there, then you got the front section and the sleeve section coming right here where my side is. Now that my pieces are laid out, you just go and you're now just going to cut it out because there's no guessing, because I know that this is going to fit my side. Okay, so there's my back and there's my front, and they're all cut out. Now this particular fabric, I didn't buy as much as I thought I bought. When I went to cut out, I recognized that I needed a little bit more to make my flounce as wide as I did. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do on this one. And here's where I'm going to use as many pieces as I possibly can. So for starters, because this little piece, I want to use this, I'm going to take my flounce and just lay it right there on the side like that. I'm going to go ahead and just cut this across. Mind you, this is just a small piece, but I didn't want to waste that fabric. So as you can see, even when I hold this up straight, you see how you're getting that little curl on the bottom, or that little, the hang down there. Now, if you don't have quite enough fabric, what you can do is shorten your flounce. You can take these edges. I'm going to cut up of each one of the edges. What I'm going to do on this one is I'm just going to fold this up like that. And I'm folding all the pieces up so that they're all up on each other. Okay, so now you can take this if you like, or you can just take it and lay it down on the fabric like that. And by doing that, I can get one here, and that'll give me my 2 right there. And then once I cut these out, I can flip it. See, if you flip it over, now I can cut one on that side. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to use like a temporary tape. So this is like the masking tape, which it really doesn't stick all that good. And I'm just going to put a piece to hold the 2 pieces together, a little small. All right, so before I cut that one, I'm going to go ahead and make sure this one is the right length, because this is going to be an added piece to help me get, you know, beyond. So anyway, make sure your selvage edges are folded out. Mine keeps folding in, but we're going to line them up so we can make the most use of all of our fabric. Okay, I'm going to pin this. So now we have 2 here. And we have a small piece that can fit in with that. All right, so now you see the problem I'm going to run into with this one is that I'm going to run into not having enough to finish off the sides, which that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut as much as I can, turning it, even though I'm going to lose that, but keeping all of this portion here. And then I'm going to pin this. All right, so we're going to cut it, turn it, and we're going to cut it as much as we have. Now I'm going to flip this over. And now you see you don't have enough fabric to finish this off. You could do one of 2 things. If you really needed that extra little piece, you could actually connect a piece and sew it on there and then cut it out. I don't really need it. So what I'm going to do is start right where the point is, and I'm going to go at an angle. So by doing that, I'm only losing a little small piece of the flounce, but that's not going to matter to me because I think I have plenty that I need. So now I have 2 large pieces, and then I have 2 medium pieces right here, and then I have 1 large. Now that all the pieces are ready, we're going to take them apart. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and take these flounce pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch them together. So remember, this was the smallest of the 2. Then we're going to the medium side of the 2, which we're going to put 1 on one side. And we're going to put 1 on the other side. Then we have 2 of the other pieces. So 1 will go on each side of the mediums. So pin that. And then the 2 will get joined together. The last piece will get pinned with the medium piece. So now I'm just going to sew these together. And you can check out my video on how to make chain stitches. So our flounce is done, and we're just going to kind of throw it over. And you can see how pretty it looks. It's got that really nice flare at the bottom, and that's exactly what you want. Isn't that cute? Okay, so here is our back piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it and put the pieces right side together. And this is the exact same technique that you did with the other dress. So, you know, if you don't remember how I connected everything, I'm going to go ahead now and sew all the pieces together across the shoulders and the back seam and connect. And then I'll come back and show you how we add the flounce. But follow the same directions on how to connect a simple maxi dress. Okay, now the dress has been constructed, and like I said, you can go to my video on how to make the 1-hour maxi dress, and you can find the instructions on how to get the dress to look like this. But in this video, we're going to focus on what we're doing on the bottom of the dress. So the dress has been connected. Now, I know some of you was wondering, how did I know how much of this to cut? And the answer is, I didn't. I guessed at it. The first time I did it, I cut out 5 strips. I ended up using 4. So I figured on this time I could use 4, but as you saw, I didn't have enough fabric, so we were piecing. But something you can do before you connect them all together, you could actually pin them together. And once you pin them together, you can line them up to the bottom of your dress. And if it looks like it's if you have too much dress and not enough flounce, then you can take in a little bit of the side seam. But if you have not enough dress and too much flounce, then if you haven't sewn it together, you can cut some off, or before you hem it, you can just simply sew a seam down the side and take the flounce up. It looks like I'm okay. It's slightly smaller than the dress. I'm going to go in just a hair on the back. So I'm just going to turn the dress. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch maybe about this much. Not much. And just I'm going to come and just taper it off. Okay, so I've taken that in. Now, it didn't seem like a lot, but that little bit that we've taken in there, that's going to make a big difference in the fit of that flounce. So for starters, we're going to go ahead and find the 4 corners, or the 4 even spots, so we know where the sides are. So if we lay the front and the back down like this, we know what the back seam is, and that gives you the front right here. Now you want to find the 4 spots the same way on the flounce piece. So by doing that, I'm going to put a pin on this end. And I'm also going to put a pin right here on this end. And by doing that, now I'll take these 2 ends and fold them in together like this. And then that's going to give me my center points. You can either clip them like this, or you can pin them. So since I clipped them, that's going to make it easier to find it. So now let's just flip it over. We're going to put this clip. If this is your front or the back, in this case, this is my back. So I'm going to put this seam, this clip with the back right there. And this clip with the front right here. And now you're going to turn it the opposite direction, and you got a seam, a point right here for the bottom or for the side. So now that little bit made a difference. So now you're just going to ease in by stretching a little bit as you pin. Stretch and pin is what I'm doing. And that's going to ease that fabric in, but it's not going to cause any pleats or any gathering. I like to stitch on the side that with the flounce facing up to me. And I'm sewing a very small seam allowance. I am just running the presser foot with the edge of the fabric, so as to save as much fabric as possible. So now that it's sewn, you just go back and serge or zigzag your stitches. Okay, so now I have the flounce sewn on. And it's been serged, so let's flip it on the other side. Okay, so here's the top of the dress. So I'm going to move it up so you can see it. Here's the hip area. And then here is the bottom. And as you see, you got all that fullness down at the bottom. Okay, so what's left to do now is we're going to add the elastic to the sleeves. Now, mind you, I don't mind the sleeves being a little, flowy or full. So I'm only going to make them so that the elastic just grabs it a little bit. Now, a lot of people like to measure elastic first. I don't, because when you measure elastic, sometimes you end up having to cut off the excess, and you end up with all these little pieces. So what I'm going to do, this is my technique that I like to use, is I'm going to sew the elastic as I go, and I'm going to go ahead and tack it down in place. I'm going to take my elastic and I'm going to lay it down over it, and I'm going to just cover the elastic with the fabric, and then I'm going to do a straight stitch right down across that elastic. Okay, and then by doing that, it's going to keep that elastic in place, and that way I can pull and stretch the elastic as I go. So, and like I said, on this one, I'm just putting on just enough elastic. I don't want it to be really, really bunchy. I'm just using it as a hem, a really nice thick hem, but I'm going to grab the fabric a little bit to make it a little less wide. So as I sew, I'm going to sew around the elastic, not grabbing the elastic at all. And a back stitch right there, I'm going to cut my thread. Now I want you to see what that looks like. So what that did, it just kind of gave a nice little seam right there, a nice thick little seam. But because I don't want it to be as open, so I'm going to pull the elastic and just spread it out. Where pull it and then just stretch it out. And what that does, it gives it just a little bit of a grab. Now, you can actually take your arm and put your arm through it and see if the elastic is tight enough. And as you can see, I could tighten it just a little bit more. So I'm going to pull it a little tighter. And what I like to do is put a pin in it right here and hold it. And then you can take your arm and put your arm back in it and see if the grab is something that you like. And if it is, then you'll stop it right there. But in my case, it's a little too tight. So I'm going to relax it a little bit and then even out the elastic all the way around. So now that I got it evened out, I know now that I want to overlap this. So I'm going to cut this right here. And then I'm going to lift up this portion and I'm going to lay this on top of that elastic piece right there. And I'm going to pin it so that it stays in place. And then I'm going to pull the fabric on top of it. And that lets me know that that's where I need to sew across to stop the elastic from coming undone. So I can take that pin out now. Make sure you don't twist your elastic, because if you twist it, it's going to look really weird. So now I'll come over and I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish picking up where I left off. I'm going to sew it all the way closed. And then I'm going to back stitch to where that pin is. And I'm going to turn it and I'm going to remove that pin. And I'm going to stitch across, catching both of those elastic pieces. Now I know that that's not the neatest way to do it, but for me, I like that way. And it's up under the arm, and you can see you just got stitches across here and across here, and it's under the arm and nobody will see that. So now you'll repeat the same step for the other side. And there we have the maxi dress that has the sleeves that give you a little bit of gather here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the seams and then I'm going to try it on the mannequin. I hope this tip has been helpful on how to have you to spice up your 1-hour maxi dress by adding sleeves and a little flounce on the bottom to give it a little extra pizzazz. So I hope that this tip has been helpful for you, and I hope you try it. Happy sewing!